think that when you play at this level, all those, like for the young guys that played Sunday afternoon, national TV, nationally ranked team, that's really why they come to Michigan. And so to have that opportunity, I hope that they treasured that. And then when you get into a competition of this level, play to the point of exhaustion. And I don't have a second thought saying, well, you know what, we didn't really exhaust ourselves. So we have been saying that since last Sunday. It's together. We walked in here together. We walk out of here tonight, and we weren't good enough, right? We weren't good enough. And trailed for 40 minutes. And defensively, we seem to be chasing for a lot. Maybe the last 8 minutes, we stopped chasing, and we were able to dig our feet in and play. So it has nothing to do with an individual player. It has nothing to do with the players. That is squarely on my shoulders in terms of, okay, what nugget did I leave out in preparation? Because their speed in the first half, coming off the dribble handoffs, had a dramatic impact on us, and that's where I just felt, man, we're really chasing this game and not settled in. So tomorrow, expect everybody to be wide-eyed and clear hearts and get ready for the next challenge Tuesday night.
Steve, you want to start us off?
Phil, can you talk about Devante Jones and what he gave you in terms of both heart and game?
Well, I think Devante, the last several weeks, and certainly in this last week, has been very connected with Howard Isley, very connected with me. His eyes are expressing what's in his heart, that he is looking for these opportunities and these challenges. And again, I salute Howard Isley because we felt that with Kofi in a dropped coverage and the way they pressure up on the ball, that there would be an in-between game. So it wasn't like Devante had to get by his guy and then go into a crowd. We felt that if he could get leverage on his man, he would be able to play the in-between game. And I thought he did it extraordinarily well. And walking up to the foul line 7 for 7. Yeah, it's nice to know. And I think that Devante's improved play, Frankie was better. Frankie was better in a short period of time. And what was it, 31 points from that position. But just the play, there was real rhythm to our offense because of our point guard play.
Tian, Illinois' backcourt seemed to be very productive tonight. Obviously, Eli and Devante take pride in two-way play. What do you think went wrong there?
I think that's an interesting way to word a question, like what went wrong? They get scholarships, and they were scholarship players, I don't mean that smart ass. I just, they are very prolific scorers and three-point shooters. And again, that's on me. I didn't give them enough information, and I needed to be more insistent with them on certain actions that we wanted, because it wasn't an inside-out offense, right? They didn't throw the ball into the second half. They were more attacking us from the perimeter, and we had too many times where the ball was not controlled nor contained, and it starts with the ball. So when the ball goes to different spots on the floor, those guys are good players, and they showed it to everybody here today.
Over here with Wojo.
Bill, you said you didn't think your team played to exhaustion, like they.
No, they did.
Oh, you did.
Everybody,
Okay,
everybody, and that's just not players, but staff is.
Okay, I wanted to wait. So you
Yes,
said
yeah.
you don't have a second thought saying that they did play to exhaustion.
No, second thought, no, my first thought is that
Okay.
everybody here, and including the fans, I think everybody's,
Okay, I was
I
just
think everybody's
confused.
tired.
Yeah.
And that's okay, it's okay to be that way, because that's what competition is about.
And now the next game obviously was big. Regardless, now it really becomes even bigger, I would think, against Michigan State.
I think it's the next game, so it's the biggest game of the year, right? And then I think when we catch our breath, then Thursday will be the biggest game of the year. But I've never been one to say this game, that game, the next game, right? So our intention and our preparation is to win the next game. It happens to be Michigan State on Tuesday night.
Jeff.
Hey Phil, Devante and Caleb both said that the reason you guys haven't been able to find consistency really is because the Big Ten is a super tough league. I guess, how do you get your performance to a level where you can win games consecutively against Big Ten teams night in and night out?
Practice. I think you have to win every practice, right? And then you have to live by the mantra that we have in that 1%. So when we come in tomorrow, we may not get a lot physically done, but can we get 1% better? Is there can a guy come in and get extra shots up? Do we as the coaching staff and me, well, you know what, maybe I have to give them one more wrinkle defensively. So it's just the next day, improving every single day. And that idea of consistency, I'm not in favor of consistency, because that means you stay the same. What we want to do is go on a climb, right? But we don't want to be a rocket. We just want to climb each step, each day. And so it's all about the practice, whether it's the physical nature of practice or the mental portion of an individual's practice or the collective team practice.
Andrew.
Well, it seems like there's a fine line between, the Big Ten contenders and then like that next tier of teams. When you study the film of this game, will there be things you point out to your guys, like these are the little things that they did, that we need to do that can get us to that level?
We would do that every single time, like every single time. So I think I mentioned they had an out of bounds basket in the first half where I was right there. We had no communication. That's a fine line, right? They rebounded a missed free throw, right? It's a fine line. So what was it? Was it there should be more verbiage from the coaching staff? And should there be more verbiage from me to say, make sure you get your block out? Our out of bounds, our baseline out of bounds was not as crisp. And there were things we thought we could get out of baseline out of bounds. We weren't crisp enough. So those kind of things, I don't think it's a separation. I don't think it's a separation of haves or have-nots, or middle of the pack, the top. But it's what we desire to be. And we desire to be a championship team. Championship teams, take every advantage, and we didn't do that tonight.
Michael.
Bill, in what ways did the defensive challenge change in the second half when they started throwing it more inside as opposed to attacking you from the perimeter?
Well, he's just such a force. you know, and it makes the court smaller. But even throwing it inside, I think if we go back and look at the dribble by, right? People dribbling past us, what in our terminology, which are blow-bys. That had as much of a negative impact on us as them throwing the ball inside. We are what we are on the interior. We don't have great rim presence. No, we're not. I believe, and I could be wrong, I think we're last in the Big Ten in block shots per game. If we're not 14 or 13 in that area. So we have to improve on that. And even if you leave your feet and give some resistance when he's kind of going into his thing. But I think the other part of not just throwing it inside, they were dribbling the ball past us.
Thank you.
Caleb Rimda missed that first, the one with 15 minutes to go, because that would have cut the lead to 4 or whatever, but then come back later and hit almost an identical shot with 2.5, whatever. You know, I don't know if that happens earlier in the year. Has he, you know, how is he doing, I guess, shedding his conscience, if you will, you know, about his shots and things like that?
We had an interesting conversation this morning when we were watching film. And I said, the only guys that can get dressed for this game are shot makers. And they kind of like, I go, you all think you're shot makers, but what you really are is shot takers. And I'm not just saying our players. Every player in every locker room throughout this country at every level of basketball, I'll shoot it. Yeah, but you got to be a shot maker. And somebody would say, well, that seems to put increased pressure on them. But I don't see it that way. I think that if you're not raising up to make a shot, then don't take that shot. And Caleb is a shot maker. He came in here as a shot maker. He's worked his tail off. I mean, everybody here knows he's a kid that's coming in and shooting once, twice a day, and then practicing. And Howard Isley is putting him in positions. Juwan never told him not to take a shot, nor any of them not to take a shot. And we have just carried that on to say, shoot it, man, shoot it. And mix and make it every once in a while.
Phil, to the earlier point about playing to the point of exhaustion, this team's been pretty resilient this year. Do you feel like there's enough in the tank now for what you've got coming the rest of this week?
Absolutely, positively. Absolutely, positively. The character of the group doesn't change because you lost, right? And the whole word for this stretch of time is together. So it's together. Now, I will say this because I know who I am. The brilliance of Juwan and the brilliance of Howard Isley in that this is really like a league schedule, right? You play a heck of an opponent, you empty your tank on a Sunday, and Tuesday night you got to come back and do it again, then Wednesday. So how do we practice? And can we get into the mental part, and will that carry over to the physical? I think one of the things that I've learned, and I'm going to, we make great use in this program of the day of the game. A lot of people like check a box. We did a shoot around. We did a walkthrough. But here in this program, because of the leadership that's in this program, we're still making tweaks, we're still watching film, we're still and I believe that is a NBA. That's to our advantage, really. The fact that the makeup of our staff, with the week that we're, say up until Thursday, what we're going to face, don't tell the other people, but we have a big advantage in that area.
Mike?
So when you have a week where you don't get as much practice time, where you can't practice as much because you don't want to drain the guys physically, when you have a young team, how do you make sure the younger guys are getting enough out of a walkthrough or a scouting report if they're
Great question.
not really at the level of an Eli or a Hunter?
That is a great question. But I'll go back to kind of piggyback on Brendan when he was talking about Caleb. That's been a real growth with this team. It's been a growth. And again, it's their position coaches that are working them and getting them to understand. It's hard. It is really hard. You know, it's hard for them to come in tomorrow and say, well, I might not play as much against Michigan State, or I might get called. I don't know exactly what I'm getting called on. So how do I get? And the other factor, and this is, and I don't. The fact that we're on spring break is actually going to help because they can decompress. You know, during the day they don't have to be where they have to be on an ordinary academic situation. But it's also a challenge in that it's lonely, right? There's nobody around. And, you know, sometimes you can get by yourself and say, oh man, if I had gotten those opportunities, so that was the message leaving. We came in here together. We were celebrated together on Wednesday night. Well, we're the same, right? We're together. So younger players, you make a great example. Like our older guys and our coaching staff have to continue to work with our younger guys to understand it's about the next day, not about the last day.